Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. So this is a video about me reacting to the IGN review about Crowfall. The last one I did one of these where Lazy Peon made a review of Crowfall. I reacted to it as well. Just fair warning, you know, I'm biased. I love the game, all that bull crap. Like, keep that in mind as I'm doing this stuff. But you know, to just short answer it, I honestly think the person that was reviewing the game was extremely informed. He seemed to really try to play the game and really try to understand what Crowfall is and the experience that it offered. And I think as you see my reaction and then at the end of the video, my thoughts overall right now, Crowfall is in a interesting spot. It's kind of plateaued, I would say. We're kind of not really growing as far as a game at this very moment. At least it doesn't feel like that. The developers are working on some of the bigger problems that the game has. Let's hope that they're going to continue to work on it and continue to add cool things, because I think me and you, we both want the game to succeed, and we both want it to be, you know, what it can be, reach its full potential. And I'll be here the entire ride. I'll be covering it and making videos as I can. So make sure you're subscribed, you leave a comment, a like, all that stuff coming on our Twitch channel. Drop a follow if you want to have discussions over there. I'm live every single day, 6 p.m. Eastern, except for Sundays. And yeah, guys, much love. I really appreciate the support. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Most modern MMOs have their own take on the usual questing, exploring, and dungeon crawling, with player versus player combat as an afterthought. But Crowfall skirts all of that entirely. Instead, it focuses on relatively short PvP campaigns that last for at least 30 days, seasons basically, that are meant to culminate in all-out warfare by the end. If you stick with it that long, you might even experience a siege for a keep or a castle, Crowfall's largest pieces of real estate. And if you're especially
he's on EU, huh? Okay.
Lucky, you might even earn
I don't know anything about EU. I don't know how it's going over there, so
materials and gold through these sieges to eventually get to build your own realm. However, much like the similarly PvP-centric EVE Online or older games like Dark Age of Camelot, it's unlikely that the average person will ever get to make a dent in that realm-building endgame without joining the most powerful guild on the server or being willing to pay for the privilege. Crowfall's single best feature is its character creator. Among the 12 fantasy races and 11 classes are some genuinely interesting picks, like the giant Stoneborn and the gerbil-esque Ganetians. All of them offer...
So far, this is way more informed than Lazy Peon's video. Just saying. Like, this dude actually looks like he played the fucking video game.
Totally unique abilities, and the class system is versatile, allowing you to switch your role on the fly by slotting major and minor disciplines in and out at any time.
Dude, I literally thought that was me in game about to get ganked. Sorry.
However, all that choice doesn't always amount to a great experience. Whether you have any fun in Crowfall is determined by how much you're willing to grind. There's an introductory leveling arc from 1 to 30 that encompasses the tutorial, and it's pretty short in practice. The thing MMO fans have to be aware of is that this tutorial is the only place in Crowfall in which you'll find any quests at all. And even then, they only amount to basic run here, do this kind of stuff at best. After that, you can join a faction and run around in the Skypoint zone and casually gank other players. But this is boring, since Skypoint is a small zone without much room for any kind of tactical engagement, often leaving you running in circles while you capture the same points and kill the same group of players for loot and gold. A step up from Skypoint is the faction versus faction game mode called The Shadow, which is theoretically more player-friendly than the guild versus guild-focused endgame, but still ends up falling flat. It's a hurdle to even communicate with your other faction members, since you need to go through Crowfall's clunky chat system to figure out where anybody is.
Chat
and that's
sucks.
if they choose to respond at all. Even if you do manage to coordinate enough support among your faction members, you still need to wait hours or potentially days for the next keep to become available to siege. Given that the rewards for winning a campaign are so meager, it's easy to spin your wheels in the shadow for hours with very little to show for it. As it stands, the real endgame is supposed to begin in Crowfall's guild versus guild area, called the Dregs. Again, if you're the kind of MMO player who likes to go solo most of the time, you need not apply. In fact, everything in Crowfall's guild versus guild area is designed to be effectively inaccessible to solo players. But the shift into joining a guild, let alone finding one that's both welcoming and active, is jarring when first ascending out of the unclear and monotonous tutorial section. Okay, so let's assume you've gotten your group together. It still doesn't seem like...
All right, look, the dude has an entire group that he's running around with in guild versus guild. This dude is actually trying to play Crowfall. Like, he's actually giving it a fucking shot. And I can respect that no matter what, dude. Like, he's actually fucking trying.
Like there's much to do besides rove around the open world and gank smaller groups of players while capturing outposts and attempting to dominate parts of the various disconnected zones located across your server. The only two meaningful alternatives to this are sitting in a circle and harvesting ore and wood for hours to build your guild stockpile, or farming the same boring elite enemies and bosses for loot. That'd be fine if any of those systems were fun to engage with. At least as a melee DPS character, combat here suffers from button mash-itis, where battles often boil down to spamming every attack on your hotbar. Crowfall's battles lack any type of deliberate pacing, since the number of classes and abilities in the wild are so varied and unbalanced that there's no real rhyme or reason besides do the most damage and don't die.
That's a hot take. I disagree with that a lot, but okay.
This is no different than Elder Scrolls Online's combat system in theory, but your attacks don't even need to land in order to do damage. You can simply hold the left mouse button near an enemy and it will eventually die. In Crowfall's best moments, it's slippery, and at worst, it's brain-numbing. Crowfall might have been onto something here with its player versus player focus, but the unfortunate reality is that there's a deep, empty divide between the repetitive tasks that make up the nuts and bolts of what you're actually doing moment to moment, compared to the theoretically much more interesting Eternal Kingdom system and siege events. Those are only really available to hardcore players. Yes, it's possible for a casual group to eventually work their way up to building an empire in Eternal Kingdom or competing over castles in the dregs, but good luck with that. On paper, you can earn it, but in practice, it'd take weeks of organized effort and grinding in the wilderness for a reasonably sized guild of at least 30 to 40 players to even touch upon the endgame, let alone win a campaign. Sure, you can always join the biggest guild on the server and coast on their success, but that's hardly a great solution considering that the whole appeal of Crowfall in the first place is building up your own guild and guiding it to success. If you want to circumvent that amount of dedication, you can always just disappear into the PvP light Eternal Kingdom, where no faction warfare happens whatsoever, and buy your empire via Crowfall's cash shop. But even purchasing VIP status, which costs at minimum $15 per month at the time of this review, gives you a meager amount of premium currency. It's not much compared to the price of even a single house for your custom kingdom. But at least these zones look great.
Yeah, but you can craft all that stuff too if you don't want to pay money. I do agree that's fucking ridiculous, but you can craft it.
Crowfall's minimalist art style is colorful and clean, making it simple to parse in the heat of action. The map is difficult to make odds and ends of, though, and that makes coordinating with your allies tougher than it should be. On top of that, Crowfall's in-game text chat system is aggressively inconvenient to use, and the built-in voice chat system rarely works at all. If you can, go with Discord or some other app to talk to your friends as you play.
Here we go, chat.
Crowfall is a hardcore PvP MMORPG that centers around deep guild and faction building systems, but it doesn't do much to draw in anybody beyond its most loyal and dedicated players. Sure, if you simply want to run around and kill other players while joking around with a group of friends, this is as good a place as any to do that, if you're okay with the clunky interface and similarly clunky combat system. The open-world faction-based PvP systems that it's built around are clearly designed to pull everybody together to contribute toward a broader goal, but there's so much grinding involved that it feels like the most engaging gameplay is reserved for only the most dedicated. For more fantasy games you can play...
You know what, man? There was a few things that were a little bit like, he didn't really get it. Like when he was talking about some of the combat and like how everything's just overpowered and like, you know, you're just basically rolling your face on the keyboard. I didn't really agree with that, but
play with friends. Check out our review.
I mean, a lot of the points on that were very informed, right? I can say that, like, as far as reviews go on Crowfall, and keep in mind, I am biased. I love this game. People fucking think I'm a shill. I'm not a shill. I just love the fucking game. I mean, when you love something, you're blind to its flaws. You really are in a way, but I really think that was, I mean, honestly, man, that was a pretty fair review. Like, I mean, like that dude, you can clearly see he fucking tried, man. That dude tried to play the game the best he possibly could. Yeah, I think that was a solid review. I think that, I mean, there was a couple points I disagreed with, but overall, man, he was on point. Like the game is not, he said in there, he said the best thing he said was the game is made for the people that play it or something like that. And that is very true, right? It's very hard to learn and be a new player in this game and become, you know, and get into things. It's very difficult. The game is made and created for for the people that already play it. So I honestly don't think that was a bad review. I mean, like, I don't have any like major points where I'm just like, God, that was fucking wrong. He clearly tried. He clearly tried to play the game, and I can agree with it. I can agree with a 5. As much as it hurts my fucking soul, I can agree with it, you know.